kids are just like, oh my God, when is Santa going to sprint down into the auditorium? And for me, I'm like losing my mind. Like, get this song out of my head.
I literally can't look kids in the eyes when they sing that because they'll just see right through my soul. Like, this guy hates this song and therefore he hates me.
And we are live. Let's go. This is the Padres podcast. I'm Major J. Sundance Kid sitting right there to my left, to your right. We are here covering the Boston sports scene with so much more in store. Sundance, we have got another packed show this week. We're going to preview the Pats taking on Indy on Saturday night. Big game, both teams coming off a bye. So we're going to jump into that to start the show off in a few. We're going to bring back the Fantasy 5 again, a Sundance favorite for a playoff edition there. We're also going to be welcoming a special guest tonight. This week's special guest, TBD. We'll disclose that a little bit later, but this person's going to be helping us out with our top 5 this week's worst Christmas songs.
Love it.
That's going to be a good time. And then we, against our better judgment, we will be talking some Celtics as well. We'll see how that goes and how long that lasts. Either way, should be a lot of fun. First off, as you know, Sundance, we are going to be talking about what we're sipping on. So what you sipping on?
All right. I'm not a big porter guy, but this is none other than the Cluster Nutter. And this is courtesy of... There it is, Alvarium, which is one of our finest breweries here in town in New Britain.
I like that hat.
Probable friend of the show. I don't know if they've ever watched or even know that we exist, but they allow me to purchase their fine ale. So
they let you buy it. It's amazing. It's crazy how commerce works these days.
It's a fantastic marketing strategy.
You give cash, they give you products. Win-win.
So it works well, and that's what I am sipping on, Cluster Nutter, this evening. Major J, what are you sipping on, man?
I am sipping on, let me take a sip actually right now. It is called Little Fire from... we've had them on here before. Well,
Little Fire, like
Little
Elmer Fudd?
No, it's with an L. Little Fire.
No, that was a misfire.
It's the Looney Tunes version of. It's Little Fire from a treehouse in Charlton, Mass, which have been on here before. I'll tell you, first time experiencing this, not bad. I would say here. I'll read you the description. It is Little Fire. Little Fire, enunciation is key, is a smoked Hell's lager made with German Pilsner and smoked malts. A lot of L's.
Smoked Hell's lager?
So what's the correct way to pronounce that? Helles? Front of the podcast, Al Dufour. Feel free to chime in here because I'm sure that's probably wrong. I just call it Hell's. I assume it's Hell's.
That's cool.
I will say
Little Fire. I love it.
Little Fire.
It
comes with a little plaid hat and everything. It's basically like a smoky Budweiser. So it's not bad. The only thing is, I'll tell you.
That's not bad? Smoky Budweiser.
Smoky Budweiser. It's better than it sounds, but that's my only comp.
I think I literally just saw the brewery that you mentioned unfriend our page as you said that.
Oh. I was happy to have him there to begin with then, so I'll take that as a win. The only thing about it, though, honestly, it smells like smoked salmon, and that's what you're starting to lose me. So I'm drinking it as it tastes good, but it smells not enticing.
No, mine smells like a giant peanut butter cup, hence Cluster Nutter. I'm enjoying it.
So what we're saying is at this point, we have a better shot at getting Alvarium to sponsor the podcast than we do, say, Treehouse. That's okay. We'll take either or. All right, let's jump into it. We got to talk some Pats here.
Let's go.
We're coming off a bye, kind of itching to get into another game here. Saturday night primetime game against Indy. It's setting up, both teams coming off the bye, actually. Mm-hmm. So it's setting up like something for quite a game. I believe last I saw, and we can get into it. We probably won't get into it much later, but in terms of the line, again, Patriots are getting points. Understandably on the road a little bit, but they're getting, I think, 2.5 last I saw. Could end up, I don't see getting a 3. I have a hard time believing a lot of money's going to go on Indy, but we'll see what how this team comes out of the bye. You'd like to think, even if they're going on the road, they're going to come back refreshed. Hopefully it's going to do wonders for any injuries out there. Let's also hope that, given the rampant run of COVID cases these last couple of days for the NFL, that does not, knock on wood, touch the Patriots. Beyond that, they seem fairly healthy. I don't know. Sure. I'm cautiously optimistic about this game. Even going, we've had some games in the past, some tough games with Indy. Granted, we're talking even 10 years ago, but games in Indy have proven to be interesting over the last 20 years. You can go back to the Peyton Manning era. So Carson Wentz is no Peyton Manning, obviously, but keys of the game are going to be potentially. I'm assuming Bill's going to want to focus on Jonathan Taylor, understandably so.
Sure.
And try to force Carson Wentz into YOLO ball, get a little crazy, create some turnovers, stick J.C. Jackson on Michael Pittman, I guess. I don't know. What are your first thoughts on this?
First thoughts are that this is going to be a tough game. This is going to be a tough game. Right. I don't want to be Captain Obvious on this one, but let's be honest. 6-7 weeks ago, when the Pats started to roll on this train,
right,
I think we were all eyeballing Colts coming out of the bye. We'll get that W. Right now, it's no sure thing by any stretch.
Right.
The running back for the Colts is just unbelievable.
Just an incredible blend of just power, speed, balance. It's insane. Now that they've actually committed to him, and I think that was a big key for that team. And
Jonathan Taylor is impressive. I mean, he's like shattering. He's like shattering all of these, rushing records game by game. It seems like every other game. Oh, he shattered this record. Oh, he shattered that record. It's going to be tough because, as you know, in football, listen, if you can run the ball with authority at will, it's hard to set your defense up to sink their teeth into, a major strength on the passing game and tee off on the quarterback. And I'd love to tee off on Carson Wentz. The problem is, Carson Wentz is still somewhat mobile. He can still pick up first downs here and there.
Well past that full Wentz that we spoke about what seems so long ago with Dr. Geary, as far as the double ankle sprain and everything else. Yep. He's still, he's been a mobile quarterback historically. So if he's healthy, he knows how to move around the pocket, create plays. Against once in a while, it's to his detriment, but in general, he knows how to move, avoid pressure, avoid contact, create a play. I think that's obviously very key when you've got dialing up the Pats pass rush right now, which seems to be firing on all cylinders.
Who's the really talented linebacker for the Colts?
Darius Leonard. Maniac.
Maniac. That's him.
In Hard Knocks. Yes.
In Hard Knocks, he is Maniac. Yeah. I think he's got an ankle issue. I'm praying he's got an ankle issue because our Matt Judon is that guy. He is solid for them. This guy is all over the field. I mean, he can go sideline to sideline. He's got nose for the ball.
Yeah.
Listen, the Colts look about as balanced as you can get. They're not the Packers. They're not the Patriots, but they have a really good head coach. I think Frank Reich has established that much.
Absolutely. I think I've always been a Frank Reich fan, is from a coaching perspective, going back to Philly. So
talent at all, critical positions. Their tight ends are even pretty good. This is going to be a tough game. This is going to be a tough game.
Right.
What's frustrating for me as a Pats fan is we put a lot of good wins together to get to this point in the season where you get your bye,
right?
Only to come out of it,
and
now we got to play
right
the Colts, who look like.
You can't come out of and get the Jets. We couldn't. We had to come out and we're going to get smacked in the mouth right off the bat, and it's going to be a test. I mean, next 2 weeks are going to be tests.
So there you go. You've got the Colts. You're going to have a desperate Bills team. The Bills are now 7-6,
right?
And they are. While I've called them a paper tiger, I've talked a little bit of they're still a talented team. Listen, they're still a talented team. And when they're backed into a corner, I do expect them to fight back. So that's not going to be an easy game. Then we get the layup against the Jaguars. That is ultimate trap game with, like Empire State Building, air quotes. Oh my God.
Right.
We cannot, that better be 40-3. That can't be a close one. And then we have the Dolphins to finish out. So I don't want to be negative, Nancy. I don't want to be doom and gloom.
We're not being negative. We're simply just acknowledging the opponents in front of the Pats to go and not taking anything for granted.
It looked
respect your opponent. Sure.
Listen, 7 weeks ago, this looked like the easy stretch of the season. You were coming out of the bye and you were like, "Oh, we got the Colts. There's a W.
Right.
We got the Bills. That'll be tough." But then we got the Jags, and then we got the Dolphins.
Right.
We're gonna, at least go 3-1 in that set. This is going to be a tough game, and this is going to be a tough month coming up ahead of the Patriots. That said,
even that Miami game at the end could still be could be a tough one.
Miami's going to need that game. It's there right now, unless Miami loses the next 3 and
if they lose out, they don't care. Sure, right,
but they're not gonna because they're scheduled.
That's also and there's always the whole Brian Flores angle against Bill and all that as well. So he's going to want to show out. Any chance he gets in that aspect. Yeah, I don't know. I think it's funny how, and I don't know how serious we can take it, but I have seen stuff about how Belichick has basically supposedly been using Hard Knocks as a way to scout the Colts as well, which I don't know how much you can really take from a television show as opposed to true advanced scouting. I don't know, but I thought that was kind of funny.
Yeah. Listen, I think that you can glean a little something about players' personalities, a little bit, even and translate that to the field. I'm not talking about, oh, this guy likes to hang out with his girlfriend. This guy's really good with his kids. I mean, I think you can get a sense from the show of they don't like this cornerback because he doesn't like to tackle, and he is like way down on the depth chart. I hope the Pats get to see him in the game because they'll take advantage of it. Like it is a little bit helpful in that way. What's been really interesting about the last week with Belichick is these subtle, not so subtle, passive aggressive approaches. Not going to catch me dead on Hard Knocks. My team ain't going to do something like that. Hey, it's really nice that we didn't have to put our passing playbook out on the show.
The passing, we had the whole passing game being available for that Buffalo game. Yeah, that's like.
And listen, I don't know if you saw this. I just got to get this out there.
Yeah.
Cliff Kingsbury was asked about Coach of the Year, and he had said, "Hey, listen, that should just be renamed Belichick trophy. If you're talking about Coach of the Year." And Belichick was posed that question upon passing along Kingsbury's comments from a reporter, and Belichick, his exact words were, "You know what? I'll toss that bouquet right back to Kingsbury. He's been a fantastic coach this year." And was very effusive. It's just been an interesting week for Belichick in that sense.
It's also been an interesting year for Belichick in a way, and even going back to not just that, but just stuff like coaching decisions he's made in game and stuff that we're like, oh, I don't think Bill would have made that call like 5 years ago, 3 years ago. The whole season's been a little off kilter for Belichick. Yeah, and I don't really know how.
I like it.
Keeps you guessing. All right. So we'll go ahead. Let me pull up the. Do we want to bother pulling up the injury report here for either team? I mean, it looks like. Well, I've already got it up, so I might as well. Let's just add this.
I think I saw Mac. There you go, Mac Jones with a left thumb injury.
Right. Beyond that, I don't think any of these others are
Damian Harris hamstring. He pulled up lame in that win against Buffalo. That's one that I'm almost surprised if I see him play in this game. I have to be honest. I mean, hamstrings, as we've talked with Dr. Geary,
right?
You can't really mess with them because they're so easy to re-trigger. So that's gonna be interesting to watch.
Assuming Mac is, I mean, it's almost funny seeing the Patriots week to week. This is actually short for a Patriots injury report, and you go to the Colts, and it's Bobby Okereke, DNP, Jack Doyle, a couple of other guys. That's it. Okay, well, is everyone healthy, or are they just giving less information than, say, even the Patriots? But yeah, I mean, from a health standpoint, I mean, I'd guess that kind of leans Indy. Again, don't know how much to take from that, but we'll see. Yeah, I think, like you said, it's gonna be a tough. In the end, ultimately it's gonna be a tough game. It's another prove-it game, I think, in terms of, not that they have to prove themselves to the league.
No, one of those marker games presenting themselves. Right. You're absolutely right. It's another prove-it game.
And going back to, you were just alluding to the schedule too. I'm actually pulling that up as well. So we've got, let's see. Yeah, so we got Indy Saturday night. We do have the Bills thankfully the Bills game is at home, which we talked about weeks ago about having to go to Orchard Park a couple weeks ago. But at least coming home for that one, and the potential trap game, at least against Jacksonville, is at home as well. So that's fine. Again, that last game of the season against Miami is what could be tricky. Going to Miami always tends to throw these guys for a loop. I mean, think back to the gaffe with Gronk a couple of years ago when Miami ran back that final kick for a touchdown to win, which essentially sunk the Pats in terms of getting them out of a top seed, and then they ended up having to play Tennessee at home, which ended up being a loss, sending Brady's career with the Patriots to an early exit. So, not that, possibly nowhere near those kind of implications in Week 18 this year, but nonetheless, it's still it's a marker for what the Patriots tend to look at when they go to Miami. Nothing for granted in those games, but. All right.
Two quick things before we exit out of this segment. One's a question, and another one's just an interesting thought. So the first one is, I'll go with the thought. Hearing a little bit of chatter that Steve Belichick going to get some head coach interviews this offseason. That's interesting to me. That's a bit early.
Interesting isn't the word I would use.
That's
insane.
Bit early. So there's that. I want your reaction there. And then the other thing is, hold on. The other thing is, I kind of like the season going late into early January. I wasn't sure how I was going to feel about it. But I like the fact that, like wild card weekend is going to be pushed a week out.
Right.
Listen, the dreariest months up here in New England are January, February. So any opportunity you get to push the NFL season further into February with the Super Bowl is all right by me. What do you think about those two things?
So I'll answer those in reverse order. The second one first regarding the scheduling. Big fan of it. Again, like you said, I was not sure what to think going into the start of the season. Like, okay, we're starting this. I kind of thought they would just start the season a week early, especially given the fact that you have one less training camp, one preseason game, right? Oh. But they didn't, and I was like, "Oh, this is interesting." But as it's gone on, I'm like, "Oh, I'm digging this." Like, I'm same exact reasons. I'm liking this flow into the end of the year. Regarding Steve Belichick, borderline laughable, if I'm being honest. I love he's doing a great job in what he's doing, but to me, this is a classic sign of the NFL, the league, teams, it's chatter, insiders, etc., just jumping the shark, getting way too ahead of themselves, just wanting to jump on the next cool big story, the big name. I think they're getting way ahead of themselves. I think it's way too much. Like,
I tell you what, If the Pats roll on to the Super Bowl and win with a stout defense, he's going to get a head coach job. He's going to get a head coach job.
How old is Belichick?
Oh, God, he might be like maybe 32.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter how old
you are. No, it doesn't
are.
matter. I just think it's
interesting food for thought.
Younger, so,
all right.
I think So we'll roll back into this next week. Hopefully, reviewing a Patriots win at Indy. But either way, I'm looking forward to that game. Primetime Saturday night. That's another thing I'm really looking forward to in this one. So, all right, let's roll out of the Pats. I did mention at the beginning we're going to bring back the Fantasy 5 for a quick one this week. It's a playoff edition. We're gonna roll through. I'm gonna keep this quick because we've got some other good stuff on tap here. So just throw it out there. Again, playoff editions, just playoff prep for anyone who's hopefully in the playoffs. Hopefully you earned a bye and you're not even playing this week. But these are some ads either way, whether you're playing this week and have to fight for that W or you can skip the week, maybe look at adding guys for the semifinals, etc. But the other thing to remember, as we kind of just mentioned with the Pats, we've got Saturday games this week. So anyone who's watching, listening to this, don't forget you got 2 games on Saturday. You need to pay attention to that because there are going to be Saturday games going forward. So that said, let's roll into it with our 5 ads. I'm going to start with number 5, Robbie Anderson, receiver from the Carolina Panthers, 36% owned. What's up?
I forgot about him.
Yeah, most of the league did actually. Even his own team had up until last week. That's the problem. He's 36% owned on Yahoo. Last week, he actually had 7 catches on 12 targets with a touchdown against the Falcons. No guarantees here, obviously, but Robbie Anderson has been relevant a number of times in the past. Could see an uptick in targets and usage with some offensive changes that have gone down in Carolina with them getting rid of Joe Brady as the offensive coordinator. So Robbie Anderson is an ad, if only speculative, to give it a shot. Number 4 is going to be Jordan Howard, running back from the Philadelphia Eagles. He's actually been the subject of one of these Fantasy 5s in the past, splitting it with Boston Scott. We're going to circle back and say again, if you can get Howard, I would add him right now. Only 8% owned on Yahoo. Pretty low owned because they're coming off of the Eagles are coming off a bye week and he had a knee injury. So no guarantees there, but I do think in the end, all things being equal and health not a factor, he's the best complement to Miles Sanders in that backfield with the most potential for red zone and end zone work. So I go ahead and add him if he's available, which he probably should be. Number 3, Gabriel Davis, receiver from the Bills. So last week in that game against the Bucs, Manny Sanders went down with an injury early. Gabriel Davis, who's had hype going back to last year, 5 catches on 8 targets, also had a touchdown. So that's 2 games in a row with a touchdown. I do think Sanders is going to miss this game, potentially could miss more than that. He's week to week with his injury, so you could see Davis have some additional volume with Sanders out of there. Number 2, Ronald Jones, running back from the Bucs. Now, I'll say this isn't necessarily this guy's going to definitely go out and help you type of ad right away. This is more about the Bucs offense than anything else. It's really about if Leonard Fournette were to go down ahead of him for the Bucs, Jones would probably step right in and become an automatic RB2 for fantasy with just simply because of that Bucs offense and based on volume. So he's someone, if you're looking for these are time of year you want some potential home runs, he's someone I would stash if you can. He's 22% owned on Yahoo. You can add him pretty freely everywhere you want. So I would get Ronald Jones. And number 1 is actually going to be Justin Fields, quarterback from the Bears. I would add him as he's 22% owned on Yahoo as well. Wow. So only being 22% owned even after waivers have run this week, surprising to me as well. But I would absolutely add him if you need some potential upside at quarterback. He's been showing out a little bit. He hasn't played great in terms of real life football, but from a fantasy perspective, he still has the running quarterback cheat code in his back pocket. He still showed out the last couple of games, 20-plus points against the Packers last week, even with some pretty bad plays. So I think if you need some upside to help you win a playoff game or even get you to a championship, he's the guy to add at quarterback. He's got Minnesota this week, who bleeds production to quarterbacks. At Seattle, home against the Giants, not great matchups, but not terrible. Again, Minnesota this week, top 5 as far as giving up points to the quarterback position. So if you need help at quarterback in any way, shape, or form, I would absolutely be adding Justin Fields as well. And that's it. That's Rapid Fire, Fantasy 5 Playoff Edition. Sundance, how do you feel about that? Was that quick enough for you?
That was rapid.
Really rapid,
and
huh?
it stayed within theme for this evening, which is Widow Fire. So
all right. Well, this isn't going to go away anytime soon. So cool. Well played, Sundance Kid.
Right.
All right. So all right. Perfect timing. We're going to go ahead and now roll into our top 5. And as we do that, nope, not the Fantasy 5 Playoff Edition. It is the top 5 worst Christmas songs. We're gonna welcome a special guest, and we're gonna go ahead and bring him on. Special guest, Torak. You're laughing at his name. That's what a welcome from Sundance.
Hello,
Cal.
How you doing?
All right, Cal.
Thanks for joining us. Thanks for coming on to the show.
Thanks for plugging Justin Fields.
Oh, is it a fan? Are you a fan of? Do you own him? Oh, you wearing a
No,
Bears hat?
I don't own him. I don't draft any Bears on my fantasy teams ever. Yeah.
That's probably a smart move.
Yeah, exactly.
Cal Torak, if you would, just a brief bio that you're comfortable sharing. Let us know your roots, your sports team, and certainly some of your musical tastes to help us set up this segment for top 5 worst Christmas songs.
Chemist, born outside of Chicago in Northwest Indiana. Hashtag the region. Born at the same hospital as Michael Jackson. Scary Methodist.
I mean, there's a bragging point in this whole.
There you go.
Right, you've already nailed it right there.
Bears fan, born at the hospital with Michael Jackson. What more can you ask for? Listen to every type of music possible. Sports-wise, Bears fan, but I'm looking to upgrade. I've decided that. No, I mean, I actually had an epiphany. It's like, why should I pour my heart and soul into a team that the management doesn't even care about? So, you know what I mean? It's to them, It's like you could probably have said the same thing about the Red Sox until they, until the Yankees or got rid of them, right?
Right, sure.
And so
it's good, a very good analogy. Classic sports franchises that had absolutely horrendous management. I think you guys are a little bit plagued more so by Matt Nagy, but that does filter up to management ownership that hired him.
I mean,
I will say the Atlanta Falcons would love to have you if you're willing to convert.
And counting backwards from Matt Nagy, I mean, maybe Lovie Smith was the best thing we had.
That Mark Trestman era was a doozy, though.
Yeah, John Fox. So,
Oof.
But I mean, it's more the drafting, the drafting Mitch when you had so much other, that's management. And so it's like, yuck. Okay. So baseball, White Sox fan, basketball, Bulls fan, hockey, Blackhawks fan. You see a pattern here.
Chicago.
Well, I hate the Cubs. Almost like everyone in my family, when you go to family reunions, it's like 97% Cubs fan, 2% White Sox fans, and the 1% just doesn't care about baseball. But so that's what I grew up with. Yeah. And since I moved out here, wife's a diehard Red Sox fan. I'll watch any baseball. I mean, I'm more of a baseball guy than any other sport, but I play fantasy football with my friends and,
you're fitting right in already.
Yeah, exactly. So
you can help Sundance at some point to kind of.
I'll get on that train when time permits, which I think is entering my life shortly.
And 2 pickups: Ernest Johnson, because you never know about the Cleveland backfield, and Antonio Brown. Will he get cut? I don't know, but if he doesn't, and he has a week 5 or week 6, this is a perfect tangent, and we're gonna double down on this, Cal, because I agree. Ernest Johnson, Kareem Hunt coming off an injury is not going to be ready. You if you can stash him, just because he's going to be running in RB2 right behind Nick Chubb, as well as Antonio Brown. If the team does not cut him and Arians ends up kind of just shying away, and he comes back up to suspension. He was balling out before he got hurt, so it's actually a great stash as well. So fully on board with that. So Cal, what should we? So let me ask you this: what should we? How would you like us to refer to you? Because I'm curious, what's the background with the name? What origin is Cal Torak? Cal is just what my friends call me, and Torak was just it's a book character.
Oh, all right. So no shout outs to Mr. and Mrs. Torak, to your parents.
No, because Mr. and Mrs. Torak. Anyway. No.
Okay. Fantastic. And I know Sundance mentioned your musical interests. What's
I listen to everything. So
just everything.
Yeah, right. Everything. I mean, I kind of all over the map. Yeah.
So a couple things here. Cal is being modest. He was in a I'm not going to say prog rock band because I think it was probably more. I'm probably not doing it any justice right now. But you were in a band that did have records, plural.
Yeah. I mean,
correct. Back in the 90s, right?
Someone. Here's the best way to say it. Someone paid for us to go make a record.
Okay, that qualifies. That's going to get a big bell when we edit this. So that certainly qualifies.
That might be a double ding.
If you had to estimate, as we enter our top 5 worst Christmas songs, how many concerts have you been to in your lifetime, if you had to guess?
God, over 100.
There you go. So we do. We've got this is a music aficionado that we have on here. I'm ready to go. Let's go.
Well, I think that's actually a great lead-in. So I'd say, Cal, you know what? We're going into our top 5 worst Christmas songs. We're gonna let you go ahead and take the lead. We're gonna work up 5 to 1. What's your number 5 worst Christmas song?
Oh, the okay, but I'll tell you this. I bet you. Let's play some odds. I bet you we have one in common. All 3 of us. I'm going out on a limb. One of the songs we're all going to have is one of our worst Christmas songs.
We might.
Cal, I'm not certain about that, but let's digress.
But five,
which means Sundance went ahead and just threw another Frankie Viola curveball into which only he likes to do.
I have 4 definite examples, and my 5th one, if I were going to end with it, which I'm now starting with it, would be any song by the Trans-Siberian Orchestra. So any Christmas song by them, I automatically hate it. So that's, I mean, I know it's a blanket. It's kind of a cop-out.
That's okay.
It's okay.
But we are, this is a show full of cop-outs.
Yeah, that whole genre of kids singing over like bad guitaring. It's horrible.
It doesn't really represent Christmas.
No.
I don't accurately.
Unless your idea of Christmas is, like, just, it's so fake. I can't even describe it.
Right.
Yeah. At least the Irish step dancing was entertaining. Yeah.
It's got a visual aspect to it. Yeah. All right. I can definitely sell that. Number 5, blanket anything by the Trans-Siberian Orchestra. Sundance, what's your number 5?
Number 5. All right, so I'm going to qualify this one. I'm going to be really quick with it. I did not Google, so I want to put that out there. I didn't Google anything. I did come across a really entertaining 100 Christmas song list. I'm going to put it out there. I've never heard this song, but it's going to be my number 5 worst Christmas song without even hearing it, based on title alone. And the title is "Please, Daddy, Don't Get Drunk This Christmas."
Yes, that was my number 4, John Denver.
By John Denver. Maybe I did hear it, and I've somehow pushed that to the back of my psyche from like age 3 or 4. I have. Okay.
The title is enough.
I don't want to see my mama cry. It's Dear Daddy, don't
Is that the B-side?
No, that's the actual next line. There's actually a line where he passes out under the tree.
Oh, Lord.
But it's like it's a sad ha-ha. Not a funny ha.
Wow. So this is, in fact, an absolutely horrendous Christmas song. All right, I feel better about it already. Number 5, "Please, Daddy, Don't Get Drunk This Christmas" by John Denver.
Yeah, no, it's hard not to agree with that one.
Did you guys know the whole John Denver was involved with the JFK assassination conspiracy theory? That's a wormhole you should check out. There's this theory that John Denver, before he became lovable country folk star, was actually like an army assassin. And the family's debunked it 1,000 times, but it still persists. It's a weird conspiracy.
That's up there with the Mr. Rogers with the Marine Corps tattoo on his forearm, and he was also some kind of badass special forces guy, whatever.
I'm not aware of this, but I am going to research it as soon as we get off the air tonight.
You might be up all night. You're going to be up all night. Okay.
That's okay.
What's right? You are off tomorrow. All right. So my number 5. I'm gonna lean into it with a question because I think it's a valid question. I'd like to know why Italy needs to have its own Christmas donkey. Why? I don't understand. And this isn't so much as I used to actually enjoy this song, Dominic the Donkey, and it's really moved the other way because I don't get it. Like, I don't understand. It's not a terrible song as much as I just don't get it. It's weird. I don't get what donkeys have to do with Christmas to begin with.
Yep.
And why isn't an Italian Christmas donkey? I'm all for new music and getting away from the old retread songs going back to the 30s and 40s. But this felt like I just don't get it.
I'm gonna throw this out there. Maybe a donkey carried baby Jesus through Nazareth.
Yeah. I don't think that's not.
It probably isn't, and it wasn't in Italy.
It wasn't in Italy. It wasn't even in Sicily. I appreciate your attempts, but I'm just gonna go with it was just a really poor way to find something fun to do. So Dominic the Donkey is my number 5.
Maybe Italy has its own like Happy Meals, and the donkey was like the holiday present in the Happy Meal. I got a hamburger or whatever they sell,
and they in a little plastic donkey in plastic.
Sure, plastic. Donkey.
Yeah, even made.
Okay.
Wow. All right.
More plausible than my attempts. So.
All right, Cal. What's number 4?
My number 4 was Please Daddy Don't Get Drunk This Christmas. I don't want to see my mama cry. Yeah. But there are no weird memories tied to that. It's just simply you just think the song is weird. Actually, to be honest, I actually like the
Or
song
Are You the Dad?
Because it's so horrible. It's like
okay.
it's like one of those songs that if it came on like a radio station, like a Christmas radio station, you'd be like, WTF? Why is this on like the holiday
and you
station?
hope the kids aren't in the car.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like, but
kind of like a Dear Delilah moment. I'm guessing.
Well, there's apparently like I didn't put the one song that I after I did my list, I looked up the worst song that's ever. It's called like New Shoes or something, and it's a country song about a kid who tries to buy his terminally ill mom a pair of shoes. And like that's not a Christmas song, man. That's just a horrible.
That's a down your luck country song.
Yeah, horrible.
Yeah, that's like a Nirvana B-side.
Yes.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right.
But I didn't hear that song. So mine's Mommy, Daddy Don't Get Drunk This Christmas. That's my number 4. So
yeah, I mean the name alone again makes sense why it would make multiple lists. So Nance, number 4.
Number 4. This one I only seem to hear this one like once every 7 years, and every single time I hear it, I'm just like, Jesus, that is god awful depressing. Like even this is like picture any dive bar on Christmas Eve at 2:00 in the afternoon before there's any merry mingling going on. And it is Pretty Paper by Dolly Parton and Willie Nelson. And it's the color blue in Christmas. It just doesn't belong. It is a horrendous song. It makes me want to crawl into a hole and not come back out until Christmas
Anything
Day.
sung by Willie Nelson is enough to make me want to.
Oh, I would.
I'm sorry, I can't do Willie Nelson.
I would politely push back on that, Major.
You are more than welcome. I can't do Willie Nelson is a hard stop for me.
The range that man's voice can carry is rather impressive. But
I'm not disputing his talent. I just don't like it. That's okay though.
I could defend Willie Nelson for days, man. Like in the 70s when the Who were making concept albums and all this stuff. So you got Tommy and you've got all these concept albums. Willie Nelson made a concept album, The Red-Headed Stranger. He got out of Nashville. He went to Texas. He just recorded in his own little studio and came up with one of the best country albums ever.
But good about it.
I'll tamper. But Pretty Paper, you're right, not a good one.
No, Pretty Paper.
I don't think I've heard that one. If I have, I wouldn't know it.
Don't seek it out.
I won't check it out. I'm not gonna go down that rabbit hole like you are with John Denver later. All right, so my number 4. This one is gonna. It's against my better judgment to actually put this out there. I'm probably gonna get some heat for this, and that's okay. not because you would disagree, but just because it's just so bad and embarrassing. So my number 4 is it's a song called "Funky Funky Christmas," and not many people will know this song because it was on the Merry Merry Christmas album back in the day by the New Kids on the Block.
Wow.
And admittedly, I owned this album.
That's terrible.
And played it more than I've ever admitted before this moment right now. And it was always the track that I would skip by because it just really sucked. And it kind of came to mind while doing this exercise and realized, wow, that song really was freaking bad. So it had to make my top 5 because it's just I hated it from age 12 to now.
Was there like any rap interlude by Mark Wahlberg with Funky Christmas? I'm being serious.
The hook actually was kind of rapish.
Interesting.
Have a funky Christmas, bebop, boop boop bop bop. Yeah, something like that. Yeah. All right. Number 3, Cal. What do you got?
Number 3. This is the one I thought we'd all have on the list.
Okay.
Simply Having a Wonderful Christmas Time by Paul McCartney and Wings. I hate that song.
Double ding. Yes, that's my number 2.
You know,
I loathe that song.
I loathe that song. I hate it.
It is. We can get into this now. To me, it's like one verse. It's barely one bar. It's the same 2 lines over and over again with that damn synthesizer. He's just repeating the same thing over and over. How lazy of a song can you have? It is the epitome of laziness. But hey, it came out. What year did that come out? Obviously in the 80s. So there's a synthesizer.
1979.
79. It was McCartney and Wings. So It's like. I'm like, no, because it's just, I hear it, it just is the same thing over and over again. I'm like, I can't listen to it anymore. Bam, 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 bam,
all right.
bam, bam, bam. No.
And if you didn't know it was from like a Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer album, this lyric is so, yeah, listen to this. The party's here it is. The word is out about the town, so lift a glass. Don't look down. That's actually one of the verses. It makes 0 sense.
Interesting.
But it rhymes, so.
Yeah, are they drinking in a sleigh?
And if you're drinking, then what?
Hey, I'll be real vulnerable with both of you right now. It's not in my top 5 best Christmas songs, but I happen to enjoy it. So I'll call it. I'll qualify it now as a guilty pleasure. I enjoy a little synthesizer every now and then. So
well, you know what? I respect that.
That's it. Nice. Yeah. The Emerson, Lake and Palmer.
Wow. All right, so Sundance, what's your number 3 worst Christmas song?
Okay, so number 3 worst Christmas song. We are all dads on this podcast this evening. We've all probably been to a holiday show or 2 put on by the kids at their wonderful elementary schools, which shall remain nameless. I gotta tell you, Up on the Housetop is like something that you could play, and I am gonna check myself into the Institute of Living.
You're at least gonna walk out of the
performance. I nearly walked out of performances. Let's put it. I'm gonna put it out there right now. The teachers are all giddy because they've got a 3-week vacation coming up. So clack clack clack. They're enjoying it. The kids are just like, oh my god, when is Santa gonna sprint down into the auditorium? And for me, I'm like losing my mind. Like, get this song out of my head.
I literally can't look kids in the eyes when they sing that because they'll just see right through my soul. Like, this guy hates this song, and therefore he hates me.
It's me.
So like kids are like singing it, and I'm looking down like, because I'm either gonna laugh at them, which is just cruel in itself, or they're gonna see that I hate the song.
Yeah, I'm just like, just keep it. Yep, just get to the end.
Wrap it up.
Just move it along. So there it is, number 3, Up on the Rooftop.
All right, good pick. So number 3 for me is actually There's No Place Like Home for the Holidays, and I'm gonna say a lot of this is only because of the. You guys are from the area. It's really because I hear it nonstop for 6 weeks straight because it's from the Gary Rome commercial. Because there's no place like Rome for the holidays.
Oh, there's no place like Rome for
There's no place like Gary Rome Hyundai for the holidays.
And I hear that working from home.
Nothing like a good car dealership jingle.
Yeah, and believe it or not, I still don't want to go buy a Kia. So That's really my only justification. I hear it so much, and you got Gary Rome on the TV and his little freaking annoying dog, and I just after a while I hate the song because all I think is there's no place like Rome for the holidays, and it's just like a shoot me type of thing. So number 3, no place like Rome, home, whatever for the holidays.
It's certainly not a American Ladders and Scaffolds kind of jingle. Love it, and it sticks with you forever.
I think I know what I am Googling.
Number 2, Count Torak.
Is it 2? Yeah, my number 2 is like it's a historic collaborative song that was on a TV show, but it's horrible. It's a medley of Peace on Earth and Little Drummer Boy by David Bowie and Bing Crosby.
Oh, how could you?
Vamp off each other. It's just disgustingly bad.
That's my number 7.
It's so awkward.
That was my number 7. I originally thought it was going to be my top 5, but I got squeezed out, but it was number 7. I could not agree more.
Oh, your giant Chicago hands through the screen into my heart,
Hey, I
ripping
love
it out.
David Bowie. I mean, it's not. I mean, Ziggy Stardust. I'll take. Bing Crosby, was one of the inventors. Invested heavily in 4-track recordings that the Beatles would use later because he wanted to record his radio programs before so they weren't live. So Bing Crosby and David Bowie, love them both giants. But stick them together on a Christmas special where they try to vamp through Peace on Earth, which is an okay song, and Little Drummer Boy, which is a stupid song, and it's horrible.
Yeah, I don't think it was a personal indictment on you. So.
Yeah,
I am going to agree. You can't deny the awkward energy between Bing Crosby from 1947, Where's My Steak?
And a very buttoned up, nicely done up David Bowie. Yeah.
And David Bowie, who's, trying to, listen, I mean, the man was generations before his time. I mean, if you want to, we're not going to go near him, hers, they, whatever, but I mean, David Bowie's David Bowie.
Yeah.
And pairing that guy with Bing Crosby, and hey guys, I can't imagine they gave them a whole lot of direction with that video shoot.
Swing it. We'll cut out what doesn't work.
Henry Kissinger and Kamala Harris bring you this Christmas song. Not going to work.
So I can't deny the juxtaposition, if that's a big enough word for you. I agree, but the song is fantastic. So I'm gonna politely disagree, but I respect your position.
Sundance likes an odd duo and a synthesizer. That's what we've established at this point.
All right, listen. So my top 2 are both blankets. Unabashedly, I am totally unapologetic on this. Anything by Jim Brickman, I am not going to listen. I am not going to tolerate.
Jim.
Yep. So
wasn't that the name of it? Wasn't that the pitching coach from Rookie of the Year, played by David Stern? David Stern, who also played Marv from Home Alone. Yeah.
This is correct. Jim Brickman is kind of like a poor man's Randy Newman, except he's a hack. I'm going to put it out there. And so anything by Jim Brickman, Delilah seems to play a lot of his stuff on 100.5. If you're tuning in locally, and I'm just not down with any Jim Brickman. It's my number 2. Don't listen.
And I actually just got a call in. It was Stu Brickma was the name of the pitching coach from Rookie of the Year. Anyway, about which was
close
also
enough.
tailing Cal's beloved Cubs. So my number 2. Well, we already hit it. It's Wonderful Christmas Time by Paul McCartney and Wings, and we don't need to go through it again because even just talking about it again briefly now makes me convulse. So we're gonna go
right to number 1 then.
We're gonna go right to number 1. Cal Torak, what's your number 1 worst, most hated, loathsome Christmas song?
It's from the Rankin and Bass. Santa Claus is Coming to Town. It's If You Sit on My Lap Today, the Be Prepared to Pay song. If you listen to it, it's horrible. So I'll just leave it at that. If you've never heard it, listen to it.
I really hope I can keep this portion of the show.
Yeah, exactly. It's like you listen to it once and you just go, nope.
Cal, are we gonna if any one of our listeners or viewers were to listen to it, would they boycott the show from this point forward?
No, it's just it's 1960s, so it's just weird because it's it's just I'm just gonna leave it at that. If you've heard it, you know exactly what I'm talking about.
Yeah. All right,
noted. All right, I'm not familiar with that one. I'm gonna have to be though. Sundance, what's your number one? Can you top that?
Yeah, I don't know that I can top it. In fact,
I'm sure.
I may cost us a viewer or two, Major J, so I'm going to apologize in advance. One of them is actually a good friend of the podcast, Captain Bo.
They already left when they heard New Kids on the Block, so don't worry about it.
So listen, there's a theme here with my top 5 worst songs, and it is very simply, the depression mode songs. I just don't feel have any place in the Christmas holiday.
I think you're going to hurt me really bad. I think I can predict this one. Keep going.
And so
depression mode or Depeche mode? Either one, really.
And so with that, any Christmas holiday tune off the Carpenters holiday album is absolutely dreadful. Please,
Captain Bo is in a fetal position in his bed.
I am going to ask you to make a right and schedule an appointment with your therapist, or and I'm all good with that. Therapy works. Living proof, I'm right here. But listen, I gotta tell you, man, the Carpenters is just Cal. What's the woman Carpenter? What was her name?
Karen Carpenter.
Karen Carpenter. Thank you.
Is that a real name?
It is, and I have to say, I don't find her voice to be overly soothing. In fact, I find it to be punishing and blue and let's all go make bad decisions because we're sad. And that's the way I feel about any Carpenters holiday tune. There it is.
Perfect for the holidays.
Right. Dive bar, 2:00. Who's got the next round? The Carpenters holiday tunes are on.
Would you put Fairy Tale of New York as a good Christmas song? That's pretty that's pretty bleak. But it's hopeful.
Is that a Carpenter song?
No, it's a Pogue song.
Oh, I'm not familiar with it, so I'll have to give it a listen.
Fairy Tale.
I'm just curious how and when you've been listening to the Carpenters Christmas album to begin with.
Listen,
just to go back to years.
It comes on in a little random, iPod, Spotify play. It comes on holiday tunes, and you're just like, you cannot find your phone fast enough to skip right past that song.
Noted. All right. Okay. I mean, I'm not going to argue the point. That's I'm not. I think I'm Carpenters agnostic. I think, but I'm sure it sounds awful, so I'm down with it. All right, that's going to take us to my number one, and I actually heard it today, and I wanted to really just pull back from the driveway and get out of my car just so I can have to, rather than changing the station for some reason. It is Silver Bells.
Ooh, that's good.
Specifically the Elvis version. It is tryptophan for the ears. He's like Elvis. I'm not a big Elvis guy anyway, but I picture him. I don't hate Elvis. I'm just not an Elvis fan per se. But this song in particular, I just picture him in his later years in his beefiness in that weird sequin suit, microphone in one hand, turkey leg in the other one. He sounds like your drunk uncle doing karaoke after the extended family dinner on Christmas. I can't do it. I'm sorry if I'm offending, again, anyone who's an Elvis fan. I don't mind Elvis, I guess, in general. I'm just not really a fan. And this song just makes the ears bleed, and then I'm afraid I'm going to fall asleep at the wheel. So
you realize his number one moniker is the King, and for good reason. Sure. I have Winter Wonderland by Elvis as my number 4 for top 5 Christmas songs, and it's because of the slant that he puts on the song himself, quite honestly. So I get down with some Elvis. If I'm being honest with you, I dig Elvis quite a bit, but I respect the opinion as your top worst.
Yeah.
Well, Blue Christmas by Elvis is a really good recording where they do the woo in the background. Yep. And I'm surprised that Pentatonics didn't get on any of our lists. Pentatonics is pretty bad.
Oh, no. So Pentatonics was number 7 for me. Chipmunks was number 6. Ooh, and it's funny that you mentioned
Chipmunks.
Cal, it's funny you mentioned that last Elvis riff there because I have Rascal Flatts, I'll Be Home for Christmas as number 8. I just can't do it. I just can't do it. So that kind of rounded out, my top 10, so to speak.
So does all your Christmas music have to be jovial, or can you kind of get a little Blue Christmas in there?
No, it can get a little sentimental. I mean, my number 1 is "Have Yourself a Merry Little Christmas" by Frank Sinatra. That's my number 1. I mean, he starts it off with no instrumental. It is classic. Cal, you would appreciate it. When you put that through the right speakers. I mean, it is him in a studio by himself. I mean, it is just the coolest thing.
It's pristine. It's clean.
There you go. Oh, pristine. That is a fantastic adjective right there.
Yeah. I like that recording.
All right. Well, this is quite a list from each of us here. I'm actually trying to check the YouTube subscribe history to see if I'm seeing it go down exponentially in real time. It's probably better that I wait until the morning. Actually, no one's hearing this right now, but I will be checking it, and that's fine. We're here for our own pleasure. All right, Cal. Well, it has been a pleasure to have you joining us for this exercise. Thank you for jumping on. We look forward to maybe having you back again in the future if you decide that this was something that you'd like to submit yourself to again.
Well, thanks for having me.
All right, man. Take care.
It easy.
All right,
Happy holidays. Thanks.
Happy holidays.
Love it. Now, did you notice, Major J, there was not, as Cal predicted, there was not a 3-way overlay, right? So none of us all had the same song, but there was some 2-way overlay there. A couple of us each had a top 5 that was mixed in there. So,
yeah, that was something. That was something. Definitely went in some directions I did not expect, and that's okay. That's what we want. So hopefully anyone listening, watching, please jump in, shoot some comments on YouTube or anywhere. Catch us on social, whatever. Curious to see what anyone else thinks about this as well. I'm sure we've offended some people. People are going to be like, how could you leave this out? I can't believe you included this, etc. That's fine. We were used to it at this point. So I think we are going to very quickly now touch on our NFL Padres picks. We discussed this. We are now going to move to a different format. We are not going to do our picks live on the show anymore. We're just going to kind of give updates and backgrounds as to what's going on so we can kind of put our time into more productive, fun matters, if you will. So let's just bring up where we stand after last week, week 14, real quick here. So last week I went 9-5, you went 8-6. That puts me one game ahead overall. You are in disbelief, as you can see here. Totally. I can't believe he made up 3 games in 2 weeks. I think it's pretty good. So granted, our win percentage, neither one of us is really great, but we're both over 500. It's only 1 game. We still have 4 weeks to go. So that said, our picks this week, again, I'm actually just going to bring it up so people can see as far as if they want to tail us, check it out. We do have the Google Doc available, as I've mentioned before. This is just a quick showing of it. Our picks are in there. Address to that is the link that's going to be in the description if people want to check it out and follow us, tail us, tell us how bad we are, etc. Again, a reminder, we are not professional gamblers. These picks are for entertainment purposes only. If you have a gambling problem, call 1-800-GAMBLER. And that will be on screen for everyone in case they need it. If you have a gambling problem, we encourage you to first admit you have a problem. That's key, first step. And then seek help for that problem. and we'll bet for you.
Just don't listen to the Carpenters while you do that.
Don't, because then
drive you down the wrong road.
It's going to go down south even further.
All right.
So I think that brings us into our final segment. We're going to see how far we can take this one, because it's something I think we are tentative about how much we really want to talk about it, but we're going to give it a shot. It is the Celtics. It's the Celtics Shootaround. For being real, right now it's more like the Celtics Shootaround, because this team is just all over the map. We are coming off of 5-game road swing, 1-4. I think I was optimistically. I think we were both optimistically hoping for at least a 2-3 road trip with a couple of solid wins.
Yeah,
that did not happen. They got a win at Portland, probably the worst team out of the 5 they played. Whatever, it's a win. But they proceeded. They lost to Utah. They lost to both LA teams, and predictably, they lost to Phoenix. The catch to all this is they then came back, and just like Pacino in The Godfather, they pull you back in with a great win at home against Milwaukee, of all teams. Not convincing, but 117-103, pretty good win, and that was with Giannis. So at this point, it's pretty much on brand for this team. I don't know what to think, how much to care. It feels like right now the same as the last few seasons, where we will follow them, root for them, get into it for a week or two, then get really annoyed with it, angry, etc., and then you just end up just toiling for the entire season, and you just end up being pretty pissed. I don't know. What are your feelings right now? What's your first initial gut feeling reaction to this team?
Similar to you, it's frustrating. I'll be honest with you, I'm not following. I am reading box scores. I am keeping up on my sports knowledge by reading articles and checking out some podcasts and some interviews on the team. They're a 500 team, and like we've talked about, there's nothing fun rooting for a 500 team. It's maddening. If they are absolutely horrible, you put them on for 5 minutes and say, okay, who's like a player I could root for? And, let me check out some college basketball to see who our lottery pick's going to be. Right. And if they're a good playoff team, you're checking in very frequently, and you're even watching some games from start to finish. This team is 500. So what's going to happen is Brad Stevens is going to reach a point in about a month, and he's going to say to ownership, which way do you want me to go here? Do you want me to try to get this team, really over the hump, or do you want to just start all over? And I won't be surprised if it's let's start all over, and let's package a Jaylen Brown and a Romeo Langford and see if we can get somebody else back here. And they would be moderately better throughout the rest of the season. I saw a snippet that my guy, Dennis Schroeder, could be trade bait. You got to be kidding me.
Something I wanted to bring up specifically. Yes.
You've got to be
and I said it to you when we talked about this offline, but just that it almost to me seems like this was probably the intention all along when they brought him in. It was going to be, they knew one of two outcomes. Either he was going to overplay his value and we could trade him, or worst case, he underplayed and we only had him for a short term anyway and let him walk and whatever. Like, it was just, there was no, I think there was more so now than even before. I think there was no legitimate intention on Schroeder actually factoring into this team more than short term, one way or the other. And granted, nothing's happened yet. I mean, this is all talk. If they could not trade him, and we could just be banging about ideas that aren't even legitimate, but that's the feeling I get. I agree with you. I wouldn't be surprised if with the way he's playing, I'd actually be surprised if he isn't traded, because at this point, I feel like Brad Stevens is almost reading, again, we're speculating, but reading from the book of Comin. Like, it almost feels like they're going to work this team over and treat it the same way Bloom is dealing with the Red Sox. And it's just where it leaves you with scratching your head. What are you doing? What are you doing? What are you doing? And it's just going to be going on like that for a while. Yeah, I think Schroeder is potentially on the trade block. I think we're going to start hearing about Smart again. And then, granted, it's Boston media, so you take it for a grain of salt. But you've got like Felger and Holloway every night now lately talking about as well. And I forgot who it was, but they're talking about because someone else in the media speculated separately. Are we going to start looking at potentially seeing breaking up Tatum and Brown over the next 12 to 18 months because they aren't going to be able to make it work together? It would really be a shame to me to have two players with the talent and the potential for next level of Tatum and Brown in a league that relies on superstars and putting together
superstar tandems.
Exactly. And or even trios, if you will.
Trios. You really need a trio.
But you need a trio, but you can't get a trio without a duo, right? To then turn around and say, this isn't working. You guys can't make this work. We're going to turn around and bail on one of you and start over again from scratch with draft picks and whoever else we can get for him. Like, that's the opposite. It almost feels the opposite of what Ainge was doing for so long, or trying to build towards before he said screw it and bailed because his heart probably couldn't handle it anymore. I just, again, this is all speculative. We're going based on rumors and innuendo we're hearing in the media over the last week, but you factor in the way this team has looked, just the Jekyll and Hyde nature of their performance. It's reading tea leaves,
It's a really simple equation. 500 record plus consistent Jaylen Brown, Robert Williams injuries, plus a little bit of bickering about shots, minutes played,
right,
equals not really interested. And that's where I land right now. I hate to say it. I'm with you. I really hope that they don't break up these two guys, but at the same time, it ain't working. It really isn't working. I'll tell you this. They trade Marcus Smart and Dennis Schroeder. I may be out for this season. I may come back next year.
It's just at that point, it's indicative of, again, what their plan is for the rest of the season or lack thereof, or if they're not to say bailing on the season, but clearly they just want to keep churning and working in a different direction.
I'll be honest with you. If they were to trade Jason Tatum for Damian Lillard plus a 10 and 10 guy,
a legitimate,
I'm going to take it. If they were to trade Jason Tatum for Bradley Beal plus a 10 and 10 guy, 10 rebounds, 10 points, I'm going to take that all day, every day, because what we're watching night in and night out is just not worth it. And
as much as I hate to say it, I would rather at this point, I'd almost rather, if it were to happen. I
can't believe I'm saying it, but I'm saying it. I'd rather trade Tatum.
That's exactly what I'm saying. That's exactly what I'm saying. I hate saying that, but I think realistically, I'd be more mad if they traded Jalen than if they traded Tatum.
Doesn't seem like a Boston guy. Jaylen Brown and Marcus Smart are Boston guys. Jason Tatum just really isn't. Doesn't make him a bad guy. Doesn't make him a bad player. Doesn't make him a poor teammate. Not at all. But Marcus Smart will dive head first into the stands for a loose ball. Jaylen Brown is going to speak his mind when things are screwed up. Jason Tatum is going to take 35 shots a night. And that's the description for each of those guys.
Yeah, I feel like Tatum's just – I'm worried that he's actually just not going to get it in terms of becoming a true team player.
I don't think so. And
which is surprising because I did not foresee that coming from him the first couple of years coming out of Duke. And I'm actually surprised it's gone down this road. I'll be honest. I'm going to be throwing this could be coming out of left field and there could be nothing behind it. It actually sort of feels like he's got a little bit of Kyrie in him. Which bugs me a little bit. I don't know. It's a weird comp.
Well, they've been open about, staying in touch and, getting guidance from. I mean, who worse to get guidance from?
Well, so I brought up the schedule. So I know a while back when we were kind of previewing the month of December, and we were talking about that road trip and the way this month was going to shake out with 15 games. And I think you actually notably said, even though they're talking about this being not a make or break month, but this may decide the direction of the team type of month. And I think you even said that you could see this just turn out to be a 500 month, and nothing coming of it. And you could even see this team, say, going 5-10 off those 15 games. Well, I can tell you, I think you're onto something, because, I mean, let's look at it. Granted, we're only halfway through, but the Celtics are what? 3. Okay, granted, they're 3-4. 3-4, but you've got 4 games coming up over the next week, all at home, coming off this win against Milwaukee. They had 3 days off. You're going to get Golden State on Friday night. No one expects them to win that game. You'd love to think they can beat the Knicks at home on Saturday. Not a lock. You got Philly Monday, Cleveland Wednesday.
Tough games.
You're looking at what? Maybe a 2-2, and you'd have to be happy with it. Beat the Knicks in Cleveland, I guess. Could be 1-3. You could lose. You could lose the Knicks game.
Again, even if they win 1 or 2 more than they lose.
Right.
What does that mean?
They're still 500 team.
Still a 500 team.
You need to go. Realistically, you need to go 10-5 this month with some.
They're 10th in the Eastern Conference right now. They are 10th. That tells you all you need to know.
Yeah. Well, it also tells you, again, to circle back, that it really tells you all the more reason why they'll turn around and trade Schroeder and anyone else that they can get value for, if it's in the way of draft picks. All right. I think we've probably exhausted any energy we had left to tolerate for the Celtics at this point. We'll see where the next week goes. Maybe if they have a nice homestand and surprise us, we'll talk about them on the next show. I don't know. Who knows? We'll surprise people. They do have Milwaukee.
Maybe they'll surprise us. Maybe.
Yeah, maybe. Who knows? But I think that wraps us up. We're trying to shade this down a little bit. I think we did a good job here. We are going to be back next week. I'm sorry, we're not going to be back next week. Rather, we are taking the Christmas holiday week off. We'll be back in 2 weeks. We're going to enjoy our Christmas holiday with the family and friends and partake in festivities. And we hope everyone who is watching and listening does the same. But again, we'll be back in 2 weeks right before New Year's. We're going to review the Pats and Colts game as well as the Pats and Bills coming up right after that. So I think after those 2 games, we're going to see where the Pats are as far as where that leaves them in the AFC picture. I know there are a number of potential scenarios where they can even clinch a playoff berth this week, but it requires like a win and a ton of losses, and we didn't even want to go into that. So we may check in on the Celtics next show. We'll see. Like we just said, it's a week-to-week proposition. We'll probably have a new top 5, but that's TBD, as well as Sundance and I are going to start to explore some other possibilities for fresh content for the show. So make sure you kind of check that out and keep your eyes and ears peeled. But, the usual, if you're catching us on YouTube, please like, subscribe, turn notifications on so you don't miss a show, whether it's this one, the next one, etc. Audio is available on most of the main platforms: Anchor, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts. Our video podcast is now not just available on YouTube, it is available on Spotify as video as well. So you can catch us on video on Spotify now. Actually, pretty excited about that. If you're catching us on the audio, though, please rate, review. We appreciate it. It is, as we always like to say, as I always like to say, Sundance goes along with it. It's part of our world takeover, and we just want everyone to be along for the ride, inch by inch, as we claw towards our 1 million subscribers or something close to. But as we sign off, that guy right there, that's the Sundance Kid, giving it right back to me. I'm Major J. We collectively are the Dos Padres. Hasta tus sueños. Enjoy your holiday. Merry Christmas. Happy Hanukkah. I know it's already passed. All the above. You know it. We